So my husband's put this across the screen, and that shows up each time. And then you and I have been talking about people who are either interested in aging or interested in being better informed about aging. There's either a crisis in their family, or they are working with people who maybe are 20, 30, 40 years past their point on linear the linear calendar,
Right.
or their own point in time. And so they're beyond. I'm beyond many of my guests who are talking about feeling their age at 39, and I'm like, oh, I can look back and remember that. But again, I shouldn't be putting them down because they haven't lived as long as I have, because their own lived experiences are rich, and I am richer for knowing them, back and forth. But trying to figure out, when you click on someone who says, I'd like to connect, and it's like, are you just collecting people, just like kids and people who just enjoy doing fun things? They've got those Crocs, those shoes with the holes in the top, and they're getting those widgets or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so are you collecting me? Am I just going to be part of all the things you've got hanging on your bag, or stickers on your suitcase? Are you just collecting me? Or would you find value? Do you want to be enriched? Do you want, there's the group on LinkedIn, Brain Expansion. Do you want to expand your own horizons? Do you want to know something more about being a grandparent, being a person who's starting a new career, and you are beyond the age that many of your peers are going, oh no, I've been working to get out of having to figure things out and promote myself. And I'm getting out of all that. I am kicking back. And it's like, no, I'm kicking like in the Olympics in the swimming pool. I am kicking forward. It's like, what are you about? So I'm really grateful that someone that you actually speak with regularly reached out and said, can we connect? As I scrolled down, I saw you were mutual. I saw that this person did something in San Antonio. So I let them know that I was in San Antonio this most recent April. In April at the Texas Library Association. My husband is D. Scott Smith, motivational listener. That's a hashtag, motivational listener. He is also the producer of this talk show. And we were both there because we were invited by a person who publishes. She really helps people to write books, to get their books published. And she said, come to my table, bring your books, and there'll be other people. She just enjoys, talk about brain expansion. She just enjoys what all people are writing about. It's children's books. It's books about something that, you've made a documentary film on, and now you're writing a book about it. Whatever it is. And that is part of the reason why I invite people like you to be my guest on aspects of aging, because I'm like, what are you about? What have you done? How did this happen? And you're willing to speak about that. In fact, you've spoken in front of large groups.
Yeah.
Deborah, why did you come today? There's got to be several reasons that you said, sure, I'll come on in and talk about what I'm doing.
I asked you to be my friend so that I was hoping you'd ask me to come on your podcast.
Yeah, I want that. I want people to go, I want to get in on this. I might meet some
Right.
other people, or, in a situation like this where there's only the two of us, I'm just going, you know what? If this is my own personal infomercial time with you, I might go on to be an influence on someone else. I might connect you with someone accidentally or on purpose. And you have already, because you let people know, I am now connected with someone who very strategically empowers women who've got something going on. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you asked me to connect with you so that I would ask you to please come on. Oh, Deborah, I'm just so happy. It's a sunshiny day where I am, but
Here
it's a
too.
sunshiny
Yeah.
day because yes, there too. In Wisconsin, you are right across the street from Lake Michigan.
Yes.
Oh, I want to know everything. Go for it.
Oh, well, you'll have to be Facebook friends with me, and then you see all the pictures, because that's mostly what I post.
Oh,
Is the
oh,
sunrises, the sunsets, and
oh,
I got
beautiful.
quite a following on that.
Oh, good. Good. Well, you're on a lake. I mean, anything,
Gorgeous.
let's go to the lake. And everyone's like, oh, it sounds lovely. And you just wake up and look at it and go outside and walk to it. Oh, I'm thrilled.
Just look
Wait a
at
minute.
it.
I'm looking down at my screen right now and I
Yeah.
see stuffed animals back there.
Yes,
Yours?
I love stuffed animals. People keep
Perfect.
giving them to me, so they're all over my house.
Oh my goodness. Besides
And I
stuffed
named them
animals.
all. I named them all.
Oh, wow. You're the real deal. Like my daughter named her car, which is a Charger,
Oh, my
but
cars.
she gave it a female name. And I'm like, I'm thinking Charger's like muscle. And it's like, wait a minute. I have a
Oh, that was
strong daughter, a
sexism.
strong
Yeah.
daughter.
My car is Storm off, the superhero Storm.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
name
goodness.
everything. But
You're
to what you
fun.
started with on age, I've been for the last year or so started working with ARP on the side, just doing some workshops. But I've also done disrupt aging, which is where they want us to come in, and there's more than we can even do in college classes and talk to the kids. And the second one I did was kids that weren't even in a profession yet. They were like, I think, second year, but in a psychology course, and she wanted us to come in. And I kind of prejudged that. I've learned a lot about prejudging things over speaking, but I prejudged that. But they were really we were online. They were totally involved. They would unmute their mics and tell us what they felt. They would type in the chat. And I was so impressed that these second year in college students were actually interested in us talking about disrupting what people's view of aging is. So they're out there. And I think that's super cool. I've never had that aging thing. I don't actually think older, younger. I just see people. And that was because of my college professor. And she was 82, very, very active in gerontology. And it was my last year in college, and I needed some extra credits because I went between two different colleges, and I got a double major that way, and I needed in sociology. So she took me under her wing, and I did independent study with her. She took me to the conferences. She took me to the meetings, and she was a powerful woman, and she really taught me to just see. I never saw her as being older. I saw her as being a dynamic woman, and she totally inspired me. And hopefully I can do that to other people now. She actually died on a plane from cancer coming home from leading a conference at 60. I mean, at 86. She was that kind of dynamic person. And so I
Oh
stopped
my
after that seeing ages. I just started seeing people. And I've got friends that are in 8th grade, and I've got friends that are over 80. Because I don't see people as ages. I see people as, well, we can talk, we can get along, we like the same
Mhm.
things, you know? So when I was over in, I just got back from London a few weeks ago, and all the red buses have something on the side. And I wrote that down, make sure I say it right, is don't deny your age, defy it. I love that. Don't
I
deny.
wonder who started that
It's
campaign.
on all the red buses. Don't deny your age, defy it. Is that not
Wow.
cool? I mean, I'm trying to get a picture with my camera. You know, it's like, I thought that is so powerful. And everybody over in London is seeing this all the time on the roads or before they get in the buses, because they use that transportation a lot. And I'm saying, wow, what a powerful statement. We need to do that over here in America.
That could apply in any situation, in any at
Any
any point.
ageism.
Don't try, I'm going into this job and everyone says I have a baby face. And here I
Yes,
am that
I
I'm
had
going
that.
to be yeah. And
I was the baby
I
face. My
I need
daughter was
to
too.
change, I need to make sure that I look the part. And I don't want to say don't dress the part, but I need to fool people into thinking
Right.
that, and maybe instead I need to knock their socks off. I need to present, I need to be prepared to speak to a subject in a way where this person goes, "Oh, I thought you were too young to understand," which takes you back to when you went to that class and you thought,
Right.
are these people even going to, dive in on this AARP thing as
Yeah.
much as excitedly as me? I had the same experience. It was open to the public. It was at a senior center, and the community had just gained its designation as an age-friendly community, and part of that was to have different ages come
Right.
together and speak on a list of things. And they had the list, and
Oh,
there was one person that came
yeah.
forward, in my opinion, as the leader. And it was, I'm going to say, a group of 9 students from the university. But it was that person that was sitting farthest away from me who at one point said, "I just wish that I had taken Professor so and so's class on grief, loss, and dying
I'm in that
earlier,
class
because
right
I would
now.
have, oh, oh, because the way that that professor made them be a part of this is a part of life is either losing someone or knowing that you might be told
Wow.
it's it is I can't even come up with a word now. It is terminal, anything like that. Or, wishing that grandparent you'd had them longer, whatever it is. The way that that professor put that together, that person said, "I would have switched my major earlier." And I said, "Wait, would you just say that sentence again?" I just
Yeah.
wanted to just drink it in. I said, "I'm looking at you, and it's weird to me that you are the age you are, saying, 'Man, grief, loss, and dying, that changed my life. I can't wait to be part of that.'" And I said, "And it's weird to me, not because of you, but because of me. I wasn't around people who were facing their own mortality and also facing in their age that they had to redefine, independence because I had a badge on and I was in their personal property and I was in their personal space, and they had to come to a point of accepting that they were accepting service assistance from someone else. And I said, I was in my 50s when I started to catch on to how you can grab hold of these aspects of aging and steer them in the direction of your core values and be a part of someone else's life, that life is definitely coming to an end, and treasure and cherish it. And I said, and you are at this age and you get so many more years of treasuring and probably inventing something or creating a course or being in charge of something so much bigger than I will ever be, because you've got such a head start on this. And I hope that person felt like, whoo, this is great. I didn't know
Yeah.
that my little life change was exciting to someone else. So Deborah, I'm so glad you had a similar experience where you're like, look, what are they putting in the chat column? Oh my goodness, I want to respond to that, or that prompts another topic. Yeah.
But then I really started looking at what I was saying. And as we got further into it, it just grabbed me, because it's turning out that grandparents are raising the majority of the children. There are many, many households where they do a lot of the caring and the nurturing and the raising of the children. And so these children, I'm realizing a lot of them are working with and being nurtured by older people. And so that's probably why they can see it a little better. It's just statistics, it's ARP statistics, not mine, but there are so many. And when you ask that question, a lot of the kids will pop up. Yeah, I live with my grandparents, or me and my folks live with the grandparents, but they're the ones in my life because folks are working, and yeah, a lot of that's going on. A lot of grandparents are doing the babysittings and things like that, so the parents can work once they retire, which to me is not retiring personally, but and I couldn't because I have way too many grandkids. But yeah, how do you choose? Way too many.
Oh my goodness. My first reaction to what you said was, oh no, grandparents are raising their grandchildren. Then I went, wait a minute. Look at this result. This result of having that big view on life, because a person who, I don't know, I'm just going to say a person who does old well is pouring into me. They're the ones I can go to. And people will say that. It's like, there was a point where I was like, oh, don't even bring that up to mom and dad. Go to the grandparents.
And I actually did that for a while because my daughter and her 5 kids lived with us. And and I did a lot of soccer practices and a lot of stuff like that. But yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. It's really interesting that, because we are living longer and stronger. And because that was something else you said, I want to go back to. You were talking about a lot of people are saying, yay, I want to get out of this. I don't want to stay and work. I don't want to do this. Well, that's not totally completely true. They want to do that. And it's actually my speech I do for agent conferences is, yay, you retire. It's like your day out of school, right? It's summer vacation, or school's out forever, going on. And you're all excited and you jump up and you say, gee, I can't wait this. I have nowhere to go and nothing to do. And, my time's mine. And that works really well for about a year or 2, maybe 3. And then you wake up one morning and you're going, particularly if you lost a spouse or you've lost your traveling friend, which can happen. You wake up, you get up and you go, I've got nowhere to go. I've got nothing to do. And so what I do is I say, that's the second stage. And we want to skip that stage. And why I'm talking to you today is that how to skip that stage. You need to start planning now. And I had a 20-year-old that came into the room. I said, why are you here? She goes, I want to know what to do when I retire. That's planning. But I said, you got to start planning now. Just start jotting down ideas as they come to you, things you might want to do. You don't have to go back to work. You don't have to go back to your job, but a lot of people want to. My husband will be a network manager till he dies. He loves it. It's what makes him happy. And people say, well, you can't in the workforce. Well, he's 68 and he just changed jobs again because that's how you get more money in networking. But he had 2 offers and the place that he was working at didn't want him to leave. And that's 68. So if you do your job well, people do recognize that. And if you're willing to go back in an office. But, the whole point is, you're going to reach that point. So you want to skip the second stage. You want to have some ideas. And maybe you do a craft really well. You want to do craft shows, or you want to teach that to kids or to other adults. It could be any of these kind of things. It could be volunteering. I had a 70-year-old woman walk up to me and said, I retired and I don't know what to do with myself. I worked all these years since I was 13, and she was depressed. I said, well, do you have a passion? She goes, I don't need money. I said, well, do you have a passion, something you volunteer for? And she goes, oh, yeah, I volunteer at the Women's Center. I said, well, go and ask them if you can do more volunteering, find some other groups like that. Maybe ask if you can be on the board. Make some real changes. And she started getting happier and happier because she felt lost. That woman didn't make it out of retirement. I talked to somebody else at an aging conference and I told her what my topic is. And she goes, I've been in therapy for 3 years because I've got to retire from my job in 3 months. 3 years I've been in therapy. Finally, my therapist looked at me and said, why don't you just find another job? And she goes, I got one set up. I'm quitting this day and I'm starting a week later. I said, you don't want a vacation? Because I kind of recommend schools out for summer vacation. No, I got to do this. This was her identity. So there's people on both sides of that. So, because, nowadays with money not going very far.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough out there. And, in fact, I started working with another woman and we're going to start doing workshops on exactly that. I'll do my part, a little bit of what I just did for you. And she's coming in with, she wrote the book, she wrote the book Millionaire Mindset. And she's kind of come in with, all the side hacks and ideas that she has for making extra money to help people who are retired still keep bringing in money, but on their own terms, in their own way, with their own choice. So we're started.
And what age isn't that a good idea? I mean, what you're saying applies to life beyond childhood.
Right. Yeah. The 20-year-old taught me that. But I was talking, when I went in the room, she goes, they always give you a tech person. And this tech person looked at me and she said, oh, I picked you specifically because I wanted you to tell me what to do. I'm an MD doctor, but I no longer, due to this and that, want to continue being an MD doctor. And I need other options and I need to think outside the box. So you don't know who is struggling with that. Now, she was probably about 50. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all ages that are saying, is this it? And I think some people work at jobs all their life and the big thing in the ageism community right now, like at American Society of Aging and that I speak with, is that, get rid of the word retirement and call something like reinventing. But my theory is, well, you don't want to do that anyway, because one, nobody will know what you're talking about. But two, some people need to retire from their jobs. If you worked in a steel mill all this time, you need to retire. If you're a carpenter, my son's 40, he's called an old man in being a carpenter, and roofer and things like that. So there are jobs you need to retire from, but doesn't mean you have to retire from life. He's actually building his own business right now, making bait in his basement, and has a bait company. So he's already thinking, I'm 40, I'm turning 40 this year. I need to have something to go to. So he's already doing his own hack. So yeah, some jobs you need to retire from. Because
has he been listening to his mom?
I don't know. I think he came up with it on his own. I don't know. He's
okay.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you gotta be smart nowadays, because who wants to live on $2,000 a month? And even if you have 500,000 or even $1 million, you know how fast it's going to go? Do you remember back in the day? You probably do. You won the $1 million lottery. You were set for life. You could buy a mansion, yacht. No. $1 million isn't going to get you far in retirement, because we're living longer and stronger and more healthy, and medical advances are just going to get crazy. A 10-year-old today has a chance to live to 102. I think it's going to be further than that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you can't retire at 60 if you're going to live another 60 years on what you're making, because we all know what happened with inflation. So, yeah, there's so much out there. So, ideas. But if you are wealthy, I don't know anybody, but I'm sure there's people out there that have millions, but I don't know them.
So I'm hearing a difference. I'm hearing a difference between I am retired. Oh, what do you do? I am retired. Almost says I don't do anything.
It does. That's what people hear.
Yeah. And then there's the other way. What do you do? Since I retired from working in a steel mill, I have been, and then you get to actually say, I've been.
I started my own woodworking business. Let's say that they do woodworking.
Right. I made a difference. I heard of a brand new something that was going on, and I said, I can apply what I'm really good at. I am really good at, not what I used to do, what I used to be good at. I can apply that to this situation and have the gratefulness of everyone else who's going, we thought we were going to create a food pantry to feed the hungry and they only gave us this amount of property. We only have enough money for this. And it's like, well, you need, shelves that go up, and you need an ability to go up and down. And you're going to have older workers, and you don't want them going up and down ladders. Not that they're not capable. You just don't want that liability. You don't want to look like you don't care. So I suggest that you have this kind of a thing that they had at the steel mill, so that you can actually bring the shelves down and have people go, where did you come from? You are made of gold. Thank you. And so people forget you're not retired. You're like changing lives and giving people a place for their purpose. And, I'm like you. I can just envision this thing that someone goes, I know how to solve this. I see a problem or potential difficulty, and it can be solved ahead of time. And you can speak very specifically to, we will need this because our workforce will have to deal. We're going to, and you're just like, where's my checkbook so I can write, a grant money or something to what you're doing. And it's like, thanks to George, thanks to Jeanette, we know what we're talking about now. We're going to be able to use this smaller piece of property very well and have a smaller footprint and do, woo.
Who knows?
It's just, people are amazing. I guess they just need to be told that or see that someone else is amazing this way. I
But I do think you should take the vacation, whether it's 3
very
months
good.
or 2 years. Take the vacation, have
Yeah.
some fun, do some, you want to take your camper around, take your camper around. Want to go on some cruises, do it. I'm not saying,
Yes.
go from one job to another, or you deserve it, but to do what you want. But some people don't want to do that. Some people want to have a place to go and a place to be. And that's okay too. Why do we have to put limits on other people? Because there are limits for ourselves,
Oh, very good. Have you written the book yet, Deborah? Have you
I'm
written
almost
the book?
done.
Well, I mean, just telling
started-
people how to take that vacation, how to.
I started the book about 2 years ago, and then I kind of backed off from it.
Sure.
And then I started doing speaking and stuff, and I wrote the dramatic speaking thing that I do on the side here, coaching. But then, I said, and I was talking to Mei Lee, and I said, you know what? I need to get that book out. Well, the funny thing is, I was telling her about my book and all the lists of different things that they can do. Turns out she's writing the same one. We met at a conference, speaking conference, and hit it off. She's writing the same book I'm writing. So this is obviously something that's on both our minds, and I think it's going to be valuable out there. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I said, I think I need to pull mine out and start back on it.
Do you have a working title?
I did. I have so many different titles for so many different things.
I love it.
You're
just sparkling everywhere. It's like,
actually, wait a minute. I think it's here on.
Good. So you said you've been talking about Mei Lee.
It's Shattering the Lies, Reinventing Retirement and Aging.
Good. A whole bunch of my previous guests would be all over that. And again, the way that you write it, what you add to that concept is going to be different than Mei Lee, and it's going to be different than Ed Britton, and it's going to be different than Dr. Oh, go ahead. What?
Yeah. I think, there should be many books on this, and there's a few. I looked, I Googled to see, the marketplace, and there are a few, but I don't think you can have too many books on things like this, practical wise. Now, my books are shorter, like even my dramatic speaking books, very more booklet, because too many times you get a big book on something and then you get kind of lost and you just put it in the shelf and you never finish reading it. To me, I want it practical. I want it down to earth. I want it to have lists. I want it to have, if I'm going to go do it, yes. That's about the size of my book that's coming out in dramatic speaking.
Yes. And my husband said, I really like that article you wrote. Write a book. And I'm like, it's going to be a really short book. He said, use my experiences, which will kind of like, I don't know, gears and cogs and all those things. Right. It'll chunk in for someone else in a way that just talking about, this is what grief is like, and this is how it can affect. And I said, well, I just want to tell people to actually get a container, put things in for these purposes, and then keep the container somewhere so that they can say, it just really hit me again. Or opening up and seeing the obituary just threw me for a loop. And I've got something for this. I'm my own person, even if whether I am solo aging or whether I am just
Right.
showing people who care about me, hey, I've got a plan for this. I know that there will be more reasons and more ways that people go into a season of mourning as you continue to live, as you continue to experience loss of something you've always had.
Right.
And I've got this thing that I go to and I pull something out of it, an actual something in my hand that reminds me of how I have dealt with grieving very well in the past. And then I take this out, and it reminds me that I tend to withdraw from humanity, and it's not really the healthiest thing. And then I take this out that reminds me that it's okay to
Right.
just drive to, or in your case, walk across the street to this big body of water and
Yes.
just let my grief, welcome my grief to just be part of who I am, part of the deepness of me, just like the depth of Lake Michigan. And
That.
maybe a little journal, and go ahead and write that poem just for yourself, and then take out another thing that, whatever makes you feel good again. I just, short and practical, and that was Scott's recommendation. Something that a
I'm 100.
person will really use.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'll read a novel this thick from an author I
Oh,
love. But when I pick up a self-help book, I don't want something even this thick because I get lost in it. And too often we're putting extra words in that aren't touching anyone. But if you can pick up a short book, open it, and start going through it, oh, this section is grabbing me, and it's clear and it's
I love that.
precise. And you go, oh, it's giving me ideas. They even listed ideas. And that got me thinking, maybe I can do this, like you said, or maybe I can do that. That's I think most people don't want to read long self-help books. They're out
Oh,
there to
very
do.
good. A novel, that transports you into someone else's
That's
world.
my
You
go away
can't wait
place.
to read the next chapter. But
Yeah,
yeah, fix this. Fix me
yeah. I
now.
want to
Fix
be fixed
that.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just went through a big grief thing because I broke my ankle and have this
Oh,
stupid boot on. And I'm into week 3. And I finally made it through the grief. Like yesterday, I finally sat looking at the lake yesterday and I said, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Why am I slowed down like this? What am I supposed to be doing different? What is this trying to tell me? And I finally made it to that point after 3 weeks. The first week of going, and now, I mean, it even happened at an ideal time because I don't have for once, I don't have a speaking engagement. And like I said, I go all over the world. So it's a big thing. For a month and a half, I have time to heal. It's the exact amount of time my doctor said I have to be in this boot. And it was like it was ordained. So yesterday I just sat there and said, there's a reason. There's a reason I'm slowed down here. There's a reason I can't do what I want to do. And I can't be who I usually am. And
you might even work
staring
on
at
that
the water.
book. You
I'm
might
staring
even
at the
do
water
more
while it's
writing.
happening. I got work on my book.
Well, it might be your joy. It might be like, phooey, during the time that I worked on my book, I didn't need a pain reliever because I was so focused or something. I know. I'm just so this gal Mei Lee, millionaire mindset. It sounds like a book that people would just snatch.
Actually,
How do I
it's a real.
become that?
Yeah, I bought it just because I met her, but it's actually a good book, and it's a lot about her mom came over from another country, and had all this old country standards, but still went on to learn how to run the stock market and to do the things that she did, and what an inspiration she was. So yeah, it's a really interesting book, but it's not really thick either. I mean, it's thicker than mine will be and yours there, but she didn't write a big novel book, but she's got a lot of practical stuff in there. So, but yeah, it's just kind of like, you don't have to give everybody all the answers. Maybe you need a bunch of little booklets with different parts of the answer.
Yep, that was suggested. Oh, I'm going to grab this. So I was not an author until age 62 because my husband was encouraging other people to write books. But that was his world in my mind. That's your world. You do social media. You get in front of cameras. You record. That's your world. That is not my world. I do people that I can touch.
Yeah.
And yeah. And he said, but you've written so many scraps of paper that you kept during your years when you were a hired caregiver that you thought people ought to know ahead of time what aging is going to be like, just really general stuff. And I said, well, I have it narrowed down to 52 general things. It's not wrinkles. It's not cancer. It's not like funeral arrangements, but it is, and this could probably be lots of little booklets. I've often thought, wait a minute, I could categorize this differently. So I flopped it open to Afraid of Growing Older because
you did it big and it looks smaller and it's bold. I would pick that up and read it.
Good, because this one's only 2 pages. When you're done with this, whew, you're like, phew, I made it through Afraid of Growing Older for myself.
It's
so that little thick books. Yeah. Little thick books. Oh, shoot. Oh, Deborah, I can't believe it. We only have like 15 minutes left.
I know.
So I want to know, where have you spoken? I want to know anything, especially you were kind enough to give us some links ahead of time that I have not been paying attention. Have your links been showing up on the screen?
Yours and mine. Yours and mine are both popping up, both of us. I multitask.
Because you said you're going to be a speaker with this person.
You had your book up there. It was pretty cool. I'm going, go.
It's good. That's probably why I'm in my 3rd year of doing this every week, because I'm like, oh, look, it shows up. So he is a great encouragement. But you have an upcoming speaking engagement. Is it going to be online? Is it going to be in a physical arena, or both?
Well, I do online, but my speeches are better in person because I'm a dramatic speaker. And so I have lightsabers. I have cartoon things to walk into. I have costumes. I put crowns on people's heads, imaginary. I have my own, and caves, and because I want us to celebrate who and what we are, and that we don't have to put up with what people tell us. We can become who and what we are inside and stop listening to what people have said since we were small children, which is my main theme everywhere I go, is that it's off Jack Maslow's transformational learning theory, one single little part of it. And his wife went back to school to learn a profession after her kids were raised. And he got curious about it as a researcher, and now he's known as the father of transformational learning across the globe. But he researched women in the same condition, starting in Columbia University, where he was working. And then I know across America, I don't know how far it went, but he found a lot of things. But the one thing that resonated with me, which is why I became that as a doctor. That's my doctorate, is in transformational leadership. It is that we have to look at the messages that have impacted us since we were small children and look at them critically, not from the right side of your brain that goes, oh, emotional, I love that guy, he's so cute. But the other side that says, wow, he's cute, but I don't know. That side of the brain, we got to analyze it for truth and clarity. And when we do that, we find three things. And that's what some point in my speech always says, is three things. We find out one is not even true. That people have told us things that aren't true about ourselves, and we've taken that into ourselves. We have all done this. There's not a person this hasn't happened to. And then this is what hit the men. Okay. 2, it's true, but it doesn't matter. I got low body strength. I've never been strong in my arms. I broke my rotator cuff since then. I broke my wrist. I break a lot. It's true. I'm never going to swim the English Channel, but it's okay. I don't want to. I don't like cold water. I had a pool. I never went in it. It's cold. So it's true. But 3, we find out, I try to take people's fear away from looking at their past and what they believe. Because 3, you find out it is true. And it is important. Because it's something that goes with something you want to do and be. Guess what? We as people can do 1 or 2 things really good. I call it superpowers because I do a superpowers speech. There are superpowers. If we're really lucky, we can do 3. Some very blessed people can do 4. And I always have people walk up and say, "Do you say I only have 4 great things I can do?" I said, "No, I said 1 or 2. Something that we're really, really, really good at. But then everybody else in the world is really, really good at 1 or 2 or 3 things too. And so when my power joins with your power, and your power joins with my power, and we form our own Avenger team, because think of superheroes, the Avengers, they have 1 or 2 gifts. Most of them 1. Hulk smashes. Thank goodness we don't all do that. Some of us do, but some of us try to refrain. They all have 1 gift. They come together, though, and save the world because they work together. And as people, we were made to join forces, to have moments like we've had today, talking to each other and learning from each other and sharing and inspiring each other. We were, you do the podcast, I come on and, to be able to, you gave me a venue to talk about who and what I believe and who I am. Do you see what I mean? Your superpower is joining with my superpower, and then your husband's tech wizard of all time. And his superpower is making our superpowers being able to be seen by people who are going to hear it. So do you see what I'm saying? When we join together, we're not meant to do it alone. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to join with other people and to inspire each other and to work together. And that's what I talk about, whether it's aging or women empowerment, or I guess men empowerment now.
Yes, there's no reason why it isn't person empowerment. Just whoever, whatever, why ever, just speak into that person and have them raise up. I mean, a man came over and said, "I'll put your basket back for you," as he had watched me in line and had made, just a fun, encouraging comment about, he was just being friendly. And then he came over and he said, "I'll put your basket away for you." And, as I was filling the car with stuff, with multiple things, and I'm like, well, thank you. That was really kind of you to take that moment. Plus, you're being nice to the people inside the store if I don't just stick it off to the side here, because it wasn't a grocery store. So there was no place to put. So you either just leave it somewhere or you bring it all the way back over and actually put it inside the store. So I was just, telling this person, hey, you're being kind to me and the people that are working in the store at the same time. I really appreciate that. A few seconds of his time is making a difference in 2 people's lives. I mean, I didn't go into that big of a speech. I just said, hey, you're being
Yeah,
kind to
thank
both
you.
of us.
Yeah.
You know, so 3 weeks ago, you were, oh, my ankle. Look what this is taking away from me. You said that you were grieving, you know, that there was loss of the
Well,
ability to
yeah,
just
because
do
it's
what you
more.
usually do.
Well, it's not even that. You know, it messes with your brain too, because all your energy goes into healing. And so it's hard to get back into, you know, every day
I
just,
said that.
and my stuff's all creative. So yeah, I was so drained and so everything. But yeah, it's,
Wow.
you know, but it's taking time to figure out, okay, what's my lesson now? And how can I use this to help other people? Because the
Wow.
one thing I learned from speaking, and I have a lot. I have a lot in my past, and I put it right in their faces, and I watch that happen. When I'm talking about the abusive marriage, when I'm talking about the fact that I was told I could never graduate from high school, let alone get a doctorate in transformational leadership, when I was told all these things over my past, I watched people look exactly like that. And I live for that. What is on your face? That's what I live for, because I'm watching heads going like this, going, because they're thinking of their own stuff. They're thinking of all the negative things that have been told and heard to them, you know. So yeah, it's, you know, so I know that everything happens for a reason, and I don't know what this reason was, but you know, I'm working on trying to find it and really taking some introspective time. But the point is, everything can be used. That's the glory of being a speaker. You can use it as an example. And every time I use it, it becomes less harsh for me. Every time I speak about it in honesty, it becomes less harsh. And that's the other thing. I mean, I'm not saying to meet people and just spill your guts out to them, though I do. But I have a way of doing it. But, you know, it's the fact every time you own up to what you think you're lacking, or what, you know, something somebody told you, and you start really confronting it, it starts to change inside of you. And you start becoming stronger and more caring and more in tune. Instead of your own stuff, start becoming in tune to other people's stuff. And then you find things in common, like we did today. And then a new illusion, a new friendship. Somebody else that, you know, she gets me, you know, and you're able to make each other great.
I just realized that about superheroes.
Yeah.
That just to have more ability than anyone else around doesn't make you a superhero. It's finding a need and showing up and making
With other
sure
superheroes.
those people are better or okay or able to move on with life. That's what a superhero is, because they swoop in the nick of time and deliver you out of peril and and you know, put you into a safe spot. And you've done that from your stages. You've swooped in and flitter of the cape, and somebody's just like, the more I share this, the less harsh it will be. I feel like
It's
I'm
totally.
always trying to hide it from people so that they think
We
she's okay.
all
She's
are.
okay.
And
You
I'm not
know?
saying walk
Ah.
around and say, oh, blah, blah, blah. No. But the more we share in the right situation, the more healing that is for them and for us. And then they share. And we just accept each other. And we don't try. This is the biggie. And you'll get this with death and dying too. Okay. Stop trying to fix each other. Just listen. Stop it. And death and dying. People are like, I'm taking death and dying course right now for a certificate, and we're all talking about how we got shut down in death and dying because people were trying to tell us, oh no, don't feel like that, don't say that, oh, they're in a better place and all this crazy stuff. And because people don't know what to say to someone in a funeral line, they don't know what to say to somebody, even their friends or relatives, when somebody dies, because they don't know how to handle it themselves. And you know what? Best thing you do, don't say anything. Just give them a hug and hold them for a minute, and they'll cry, and then they'll be better. But the thing is, we got to stop fixing each other or thinking we got to say something. So if you say, well, I'm going through this really hard problem. Oh yeah, well, you can buck it up. You can do it. You can do it. But I don't feel like I can do it. Oh yeah, you can do it. No, people that are trying to tell you something like that or something they've been through, they just want to be heard, because they start to heal themselves in talking about it. And if they talk about grieving, it's the same way. It doesn't matter, because honestly, it is grieving. It's grieving for that little child and that teenager and that 20-year-old. It's grieving for them, grieving for what they went through and for the pain they had. It's the same thing as death and dying, only it's really the same thing. And sometimes people just want to be heard or just want to be able to say it, because it does heal you.
Deborah, sometime would you come back, because we just opened another chapter in these last few moments. Maybe after you do that presentation, and you can tell about that, but just grieving the loss of a time before now, often youth, a chunk of those wonderful wonder years that was snatched away by the harsh words. And you're relating that to death and dying, not knowing what to say, just listening, just hug, just sit in acceptance and sit ready to understand as much as you do and not fix it. Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother thing. Would you come back again someday?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh man. Ooh, I'm starting to think of someone that's coming on in a few weeks. I'll get in touch with you. I know we have to go because I should be happy that I had this hour and not always be sad that the hour is gone.
It was great. Thank you for having me. This was really, really good.
Oh, Deborah,
really
thank you so much.
You know how your stomach always turns before you get on, because you don't know what's going on.
Oh, I know. I'm supposed to be on someone else's thing tomorrow.
I had no idea what we were going to talk about.
We did. We just, we just simply talked about aspects of aging, and part of it is living, and